Guys, welcome to another week of Connect with Jonathan Mark. This week, we have a very, very cool guest. I mean, I've known her for a few years. We haven't spoken in a while, and it was really nice to reconnect. You guys see what I did there? We start by talking about her new drink line, Soirée, and all the craziness that happened this past season of her show. And it just finished, so it's very fresh. You guys may know her from the Real Housewives of New Jersey. It is Margaret Josephs. Well, welcome to the show. It's been a few years, I feel like. The last time I spoke to you was on your show, actually.
I know, and I'm so happy to be back with you.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Seriously, it's been so long.
Thanks for having me.
It has been a very long time. I'm super excited. So I wanted to obviously like talk to you and catch up because it's been years.
Yes.
I feel like I've seen you like all over the place on like, on the show and, stuff that you're starting with your drink and everything.
Yes.
And I wanted to get into all of that. So how has it been?
Yes, I feel like I need you.
Yeah. How has it been since post the show? Because I know it just finished like not too long ago, like wrapping and everything.
Yes, the season stopped airing just a few weeks ago. I mean, we wrapped filming last end of October. So it's almost a year since we wrapped filming. It took a long time for it to air.
Oh my God.
It's a relief. I feel like it's a much needed break. That's what it is. It was obviously, I mean, if you watched it, was a lot of negativity. It was a little toxic. So I'm happy to have a little breather, truthfully. So I feel like it's good. I could focus on my business, on my life and get everything going that way. So I think we're all happy to just take a breather. So that's really what's been going on. Because even when you're not filming and it's airing, you're doing press, you're reliving every, crazy moment. So that's what's been going on. So I'm just happy to have a little, whew.
I can imagine. And what I always find fascinating, I guess, from me, it's like you filmed something a year ago and people think it's so current because it's being aired like at a different time. So they think conversations, situations, or whatever had happened, just no matter who it's with, it's currently happening like last week or two weeks ago. And I've just recently learned that you film a while ago. Like you don't film in current time.
Yeah, it's not in real time. I mean, that would be amazing if it was in real time. I think no one could edit that fast or do things like that it's not live. But so I think people don't realize that. So they're having reactions. The audience is having reactions of just like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And, they're having hate for you or love for you. And it happened so long ago. And we're over it already. Relationships change and aren't what people think they are at the time. Yeah. So I think sometimes that's hard to deal with.
Another thing I think is hard to deal with, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, never been on a reality TV show, so you could definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but trying to keep like your personal life and family stuff kind of like separate from like what's going on. I feel like, you've done a really good job at that, and people sometimes don't know like there's like a fine line between merging kind of both worlds. And I feel like you've done like quite an amazing job at that. And like, how do you do that?
Thank you. Yeah, that was a very big priority for me. Even before coming on the show, I had said to myself, my kids were much older, all very private people. A lot of them don't even have social media. And I said, I chose this life. They did not. And I was not going to have them engage. I don't want to discuss them. And I made that conscious decision. I wasn't going to drag them into this because, people on the internet could be very nasty. I have very thick skin. They don't need this headache of it all. It's fabulous. A lot of things are great, but I made a very conscious decision not to expose my family to it. Even if they're adult children or whatever it is, they didn't sign up for this. There's enough people in my family who did. My mother, my husband, even my housekeeper, Lexi. Lexi's not my housekeeper, excuse me, Marlene. Lexi, who works with me for so long. Her son, who's only 5, he's easy. He's on television. So I have enough supporting characters. My kids were not important to be on the show. My oldest stepson, Brett, would film once in a while. He didn't mind it, but everybody else, it's very important to me to keep them private. I try not to talk about them. I don't post their pictures online. I really kept them very private.
And I think that's like an amazing thing because like as I watch like even all different types of reality shows, I think not just the Housewives, but any across the board, like I was saying before, there's like a weird fine line that people kind of don't like. I don't know if they don't know to cross it or if they do cross it and then they just so happen to merge like personal with the entertainment world and combine it. And then not only does that open up doors for you or whoever's on it, but it opens up doors for them that maybe they don't like want. And I've been learning that just doing this too. It's like me bringing up people in my life.
Yes.
And they're like, don't do that. They're like, we don't
I
want.
know. I mean, you don't want people stalking your fiance, right? Or anything like that. And trying to find out every ounce of information about everybody in your life. And I think that's what happens. And that's not fair to the people who don't choose to be a public figure. I chose this life. My children did not. So they don't need to be exposed to. And I think that's why I kept it that way. And I hope, the audience realizes that people have a right to a private life.
But I was going to say, like, I agree with you with that. I've been learning just from doing this that people don't know, like, that you or anyone else or even myself, like, we have a private life and we want to respect, like, the boundary of, like, when I do readings or when I do this, like, that's fine. And I'm happy to put this stuff out there. But then when I want to decompress and just be with the people that help me decompress, I want to separate sometimes.
People, it's funny. A lot of people think that like I spend all my free time talking about the show. The show is one part of my life. I have a business. I have a great family. But, my family doesn't want to talk about the show. They could give two shits, truthfully. They're just like, that's I didn't get on this show till I was 49 years old. I had a very, full, big life before that. And we have a lot of other things to discuss and celebrate and do things. And, they find it entertaining and it's cute and everything, but it's not my whole life. It's not my identity. It's part of my identity. It's been great and everything else, but we have other things to talk about and discuss and enjoy. And I'm so interested in their life, and their life isn't part of this.
Well, with that being said, like, do you know the status of the show? Like, do you know? Like,
I don't know. You might know better than I.
I kind of do see something. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why I'm even asking you, because like I kind of see some stuff with it. But I'll bring that up like later on with it.
Being private. No, I actually don't know anything. It's up to the Bravo gods. I know we're taking a break. I think they need things to simmer down. And I really just don't know what's going to happen. But I will tell you, I think it was just a little too negative and dark. And I think it got way too personal. And that's not what the show should be about. And so I think it's understandably so that, this group of women, don't love each other the way they should. I always thought we were a great team. I think things have happened over the last few years that it went south. I'm not going to point fingers. I think people know what has happened. And it's just, I think it's sad. I think it's sad because we were an amazing team. Our ratings were excellent, but it just got too dark.
Would you go back if they were like, hey, like, let's do another season? Like, let's
I think under the right circumstances, of course, I would, I'd love it. But everything is, has to be the right circumstances. It's just everything. I can't be in certain environments. I think that's what it is. And I think everybody feels that way.
Yeah, I would imagine just like in general, not wanting to go into like a toxic situation, like literally putting yourself like in a situation purposely just because you have to film or you have to be around certain people. Sometimes it's like so difficult because you're like, I need a breather from whoever.
Yeah, I think, everything. I love it. I would love the opportunity. I love my television career, and I don't want to, but I think everything has to be the right circumstance.
Which brings me to my next thing. How have you delegate like personal life with TV with your own businesses? That's like so much going on at once. That's like a superwoman. That's like crazy to me.
To be exactly honest, you can't do anything 100% if you're not dedicated to it. You can't have it all at the same time, Jonathan. And I do think sometimes my business, they're doing great, but they're not doing as well as they could be because sometimes I'm focused on Housewives. Sometimes I'm focused on my candy couture line in Walmart. Sometimes I'm focused on Soirée. So, my businesses are doing well, but I have to you have to focus on one thing sometimes. And right now I'm happy to have the break so I could focus 100% on Soirée and my businesses. It's hard to spread yourself thin.
And especially with your schedule, just like
you
were saying, like press and everything, like on top of prior to filming, that must have been, it's like, how can you, there's only so many hours in a day, yes. I feel like.
And it's a great platform for businesses. That's the one thing I'm going to say. There's nothing like the advertising you can get from being on, it's an amazing platform. So that I am so blessed to have that. But, like anything else, it is a job, and you devote a lot of your time to it. And sometimes, something else gives. I can't devote all my time to Soirée, which is in the infant stages of being a business. We only launched not this past summer, the summer before, and we're really trying to grow that. So I'm really hyper focusing on that. I have my other business, but that also still needs love and my attention. And it's a great brand that's in Walmart and a bunch of other stores, be it in the TJ Maxx's, the Burlingtons, the Rosses, and things like that. So that also needs attention. So right now it's good to have a little break, and so I could really, focus on the business.
That's a lot going on at once. And I think people also think it's super easy to do, or you have like an immense amount of like help and everything. And even if you did, and kind of what you mentioned before, it's always the dedication part of like, you need to love it. And when you love it, you can, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And, but then eventually, even with this stuff, like even with the reading stuff, it's like, I love doing it, but I need a break every once in a while because I can't spread myself so thin by trying to do so much. And then I feel like I'm neglecting one person or another person. It really becomes crazy at times.
You can't devote yourself to anything 100% if you're spread so thin. And I always say that. And you have to take care of yourself, and you can't feel bad about it. Listen, I had my stepson's wedding this weekend, and I don't even like to use the word stepson because it's like, even though we're not that many years apart, I was with him since he was 16. I was so hyper focused on this wedding, just like, so I wanted it to be perfect for him and everything else. Like right after, I was so exhausted. I've been in bed the last 2 days, literally, just like, it was so draining. I couldn't focus on anything else. Nothing I did was making any sense. So it's like the last 2 days I slept. Today, I definitely feel better. I had a clear head. I could focus. Sometimes you just have to take care of yourself and take a breather. And I think people don't realize that.
100%. And I'm going through that right now with my own wedding. I mean, I feel
don't worry about anything else. You have to take care of yourself and enjoy the moment. That's what you have to do.
And that's what I want. I want to enjoy it with like my family and my friends. And we're doing it like relatively like a smaller wedding and stuff because like I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think like a smaller wedding sometimes is nicer so you're able to talk to everyone and be with everyone? Like I've always kind of contemplated that.
Yeah, no, like it's a win either way. I think an intimate, smaller wedding is so nice. You get to talk to everybody. You get to enjoy it. Everybody's just so happy. You could pay attention to everybody. It's very special, and it's very, very nice. Sometimes when it's a lot of people, you can't focus on everybody else. You have to go run around, say hi to everybody. You miss being with everybody. This is everybody could really be together and enjoy the moment. And I do think that's very special.
Yeah, because I was fighting with that one. I was like, I want it to be intimate. Like I want it to be like small so I'm able to kind of what you just said, like enjoy the night with everyone and kind of live in that moment and don't feel like I'm being pulled in like a bunch of different directions because I'm meeting someone for the first time and that they were on the, being invited and stuff. So I was like,
someone else's schedule. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I mean, it's literally, I'm leaving tomorrow afternoon for it.
I'm so excited for you. It's going to be,
it's
going to be so good. Are you going away on a honeymoon?
Yeah. So we are going to the French Riviera for.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Then we're going to go to Switzerland right after. And we're going for 10 days. So it'll be, long but quick, I feel like, because I feel like in those 10 days, 3 of them really are traveling. And I don't know. She had this dream vision of going to the French Riviera since she was like a kid, I guess. And I didn't want to stop her. I mean, like I had my thing. I was like Hawaii, sitting on the beach, just doing that. But she wins all the time, and that's what I wanted. And makes her happy. So that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, I got to make her happy, and that's what she wants. So I'm like,
Well,
I'm all in.
This is a great time of year. The weather's perfect. It's not too hot. It's past tourist season. You're hitting it at the right time. You're going to have the best trip ever. I'm excited for you.
Is there like any moments like you remember from the Housewives that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this? Like funny moments, not anything like crazy or anything. I always try to stick with like the positive stuff.
I mean, I think a lot of funny moments. I think the funniest moment from this season was when I sent the funeral arrangement to Teresa and her attorney. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. And I was like, I thought it was classic. I only really thought of it that morning. I called. I was like, what time is going on? I wanted to do something because I took a very moment that I was irritated about. I was like, oh my God, they're having a burn party about me and everything. And I always love to make a comedic moment out of something when I'm pissed off. So I just thought that moment, I really enjoyed that moment, truthfully, because I knew it would piss them off. And it went over well, truthfully, in the eyes of everybody else, it went over well, but I thought it was hysterical. I love to do shit like that all the time. I love to do, and I crack up about it. And I was like, I just thought it was so funny. And it brought some levity to something that was, that everybody was trying to make so serious. And I like to do that. I always think comedy is the best answer to anything that's depressing, negative, and things like that. So I thought that moment was classic. Listen, the screenshot moment this season I thought was hysterical. No, not so much for Jackie. She didn't fight. I thought it was absolutely so funny. Just because I had to, rope my husband in because Dolores wasn't looking at me and I'm telling Joe to go over there. And, so I thought that was pretty funny too. Just that, I just like to bring levity to very serious moments. I think sometimes my family gets pissed off at me because they Marge, not very serious.
Yeah.
I can laugh at myself also. I know when I'm being an asshole and I can make fun of myself. I don't take myself too seriously. So when everybody else is taking themselves seriously, I like to make fun of that too.
That's so funny because like what I've been trying to do in readings, like, which is kind of what you're like talking about, is like an intense situation at times. Like after I go through it, I try to make a little bit of like, joking a little bit, trying to like kind of bring them back to like a happy laugh, like after something is like so serious or something. And I think comedy is the best thing. And if you're able to laugh at yourself, just like anyone out there in general, like that's awesome, because like not many people want to laugh at themselves for some reason. Like they don't want to feel like they're a butt of a joke or like anything. So I don't know. I think that's an amazing quality.
I don't get why someone can't laugh at themselves. It's like,
me too.
I cannot take myself so seriously. I could, or anybody shouldn't take themselves so seriously. Like I was saying, Housewives, we are not curing cancer. It is not that serious. We're here for entertainment. And I think it should be much lighter. And listen, sometimes we talk about serious shit. Everyone gets mad. Don't talk about my husband. Don't do this. Don't that. The husbands are on the show. Mm-hmm. I get it. We shouldn't take, and, things are up for discussion, whatever it is. But everybody gets so hysterical.
How has he dealt with like everything with like all like the craziness that went on this season? Like, has he just been like the rock? Has he been in
My husband's a breeze. He is so easy. Joe also laughs at a lot of stuff. He doesn't take things so seriously. I don't know if like on the show, we were dealing with like a medical diagnosis with him. He had, and they never came out at the end saying, did he have prostate cancer? Does he? He does have first stage prostate cancer, which thankfully, it's not serious. He's under active surveillance. That's what they call it now. They don't treat it at his level because they do this test now, a genomic test, and that determines if it's fast growing or not fast growing. His happens to be very slow growing. So they just monitor him and he gets tested every few months to see if there's a change. Thankfully, there's no change and they don't treat it. But, so I was dealing with that this season. So he is so strong. He's like, I'm fine. He doesn't take anything that seriously. Nothing really rattles Joe, which is probably good because everything, health-wise, I freak out about. And
me too.
He keeps me very calm and grounded. He's not someone who overreacts to things.
So like when you were doing the jokes, was he partaking in them when you were saying?
Yeah, I told him what I was going to do, and he goes, "That's genius. That's that's tremendous." He thinks it's funny. He's all for the hijinks.
I love that. I love that. And how is he doing though, like mentally when he was going through like trying to you know, finding out that you have cancer or trying to figure out like what's going on? It's
He was great. He was strong. He was like, I'm going to be fine. He's very much like that. He's very strong in those situations. And so he was great. I, on the other hand, was like very anxious and nervous because I had lost my ex-husband, just when we were filming just a year before that. And that was very sudden and he wasn't sick. So I was just like, it was hard for me to take like another blow because I was, the father of my kids and my biological son was with my ex-husband. So I felt like the rug was pulled out from under us with that just because it was very sudden. And I was like, then Joe being sick, I was freaked out, but he was very strong through the whole thing. And thank God, it's nothing as serious as we thought it was.
That is the best news I've heard in a long time, honestly, because when I'm doing these readings, it's obviously someone has passed, so
Yes.
It's not always like the best news of sorts,
Yes.
And to hear that, that's actually really like nice. And it gives a lot of people like hope as well too. Cause I feel like sometimes when people hear the word cancer, which is one of the most frightening things to hear in general, there is hope. And I want people to know that because if your husband is going through this, which he is, and he's mentally strong and it's being monitored and watched, it's like, that's remarkable. That's like someone to look up to. At least that's what I think.
Listen, there's two things. I want everybody with prostate cancer. I just want to say it's actually September's Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. But a lot of men, don't like to talk about it. No one wants to talk about prostates, right? It's like people find it awkward. You just get your PSA levels checked. Also, it doesn't matter if they're not high. If they change drastically and they're still in the normal range, that's suspicious because his was still in the normal range, but it changed drastically. It's highly curable. It's the most curable form of cancer. So that's the best news also. And the truth is if it's stage 1, a lot of times they don't even treat it. They monitor it. They say most men when they die have prostate cancer and they die with it and they don't even know it. So it doesn't usually kill you, but it could if you don't know about it and you don't find out what's going on and what levels you have, So that's the whole thing. It's the most curable form of cancer. It's highly, treatable, and you just have to just know about it and just get tested. And I think that's what it was. But also, it's also cancer is like with attitude, right? I have other friends that have cancer, that have had things, and it's just, I think it's about a positive outlook in the way you are. With Joe, I freaked out for like the first few weeks when I found out. And then it's just like when I saw his attitude and his positive outlook on everything, it really changed the way I was. He's always like, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And I think that's very important in life. Resilience is a very underrated attribute people have, right? I think I'm very resilient. I mean, I think I can freak out for like a day and then I pull it together.
I could not agree with you more because I've going back to readings because that's what I can base it off of, I guess. So sometimes I can tell when I'm doing a reading and stuff with someone who passed away from cancer or any type of illness like that. The moment that they're headstrong and they're resilient, they extend their life because they're fighting and they're just a positive attitude and amongst medical stuff. But the people that kind of wave the white flag and they're just like, I can't even think about it. And I do understand it's overwhelming, but the moment that they wave that white flag, it just seems that everything starts to check out a little bit faster. And I just see the comparison when they come through. It's like someone who extended, and I'm using this as an example, if the doctor is you have from our calculations or whatever from doing the test about 6 to 8 months, and then the person who's resilient and fighting typically will outlive it by a year or more typically because they're just fighting and they're positive and they're being around, people that are keeping them positive. And I think that's so amazing that someone can have that positive and resilient mindset in, the worst things you want to hear is that you have cancer. That's just such a hard thing to digest as a human, whether it's treatable or not, it's it's so tough.
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's just it's the positive mindset. And I think that's why I feel very lucky. It's just like that. My husband, I have a partner who's like not, a negative Nancy, who's very positive mindset. We're going to get through this. He's a big cheerleader. I'm a big cheerleader. I'm very blessed. I have Lexi in my life who's a good cheerleader. You don't need someone who the glass is half empty. So whoever does have a glass half empty, you have to get positive cheerleaders around you.
100%. Because I feel like friends, family, whoever, anyone that can bring the positivity to you is just makes you want to keep going more and makes you want to continue.
Yes.
Like, with just like anything that kind of happens, like whether it's cancer or just like life in general, just doing things. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any things coming up, any projects on the horizon, like with your businesses? Like I want everyone to know about this.
Oh, yes. Well, listen, Soirée, we're just doing everything with Soirée to grow it. We're doing something with GoPuff. We'll be on GoPuff soon, which I'm very excited about. So a lot of big news coming with Soirée, which is very exciting. And that's really going to be my focus. Growing Soirée, we're going to be working with, we want to start working with sororities and universities. That's our goal, because you know what? I want everybody to feel comfortable in their own skin, not drinking, because I don't drink alcohol. So we want to, young girls and people at school, colleges and things, it's a very big drinking community, right? And I just feel like people feel uncomfortable saying, I don't drink, or I'm not going to drink, or whatever it is. So I just feel like giving them an option, a cool can, something that's natural, tastes great, a mocktail line, is a great option. So that's what we really want to work on. Have a soiree society, really fun, and empower young women and people just not to drink and feel like they need the liquid courage. And I think that's really what I'm going to be focusing on.
I think it's really cool because I've noticed too with the younger generation, I know I sound super old, but I just noticed with the younger generation, they're actually not drinking as much, and they've
you're absolutely right.
And they're like basically kind of pushing back with the drinking, being like the health benefits isn't what it, you shouldn't have alcohol in your system and think you're going to be healthy, and I just have noticed that the younger people are posting consistently, just like on social media, on TikTok and Instagram Reels, that they're not drinking and they're okay with not drinking, and they can go out now and have a good time without a drink in their hand. And even if you have, anything, drink, no drink, anything, they're just kind of ahead of the game, at least from my perspective, without drinking any alcohol.
It's called, and I'm not judging against people who do drink. Listen, Soirée could also be used as a mixer, but the truth is, right, they call it detox for a reason, right? Because alcohol is toxic. Years ago, they said 1 drink a day is no problem. Now they're changing the statistics on that. I do believe I have a much better memory than most people because I never drank. I never drank just because I get a horrible headache. And my mother did drink when I was younger. So, and it made me very anxious. So I never drank alcohol. But with that being said, it's just like when you're at college and you're this, it's just like nothing good, I always say, comes from being, blackout wasted. Sorry. It just doesn't. And I think, you have to have an alternative to have a drink, and you want something fun that feels like an experience, that feels like a party. And that's really why I created Soirée. So I think, this positive attitude around not drinking is something that I really want to work on.
And I'm sure it must be doing well with like the younger generation because like I'm saying, like they literally preach this all the time. Like I see it all over like social media, like they just preach it. And I do agree with you. It's like, I know sometimes people feel like they need to have a can in their hand in a social setting. Even if they don't drink it, they just want to hold something. And the fact that Soirée has such a cool can and everything, it can kind of like really make someone feel confident because they're in the room, maybe with people that are socially drinking. They have the can and no one's going to question anything. And if that's someone's biggest concern about someone going up to them and being like, do you want another drink? You can hold it up and be like, I have one, I'm good. And I think that like helps like the social anxiety aspect of it too.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what it is. It's just like Soirée's fun. It means a party. People have a can to hold. It's cute. And I think that's what it is. It takes away that stigma. And you know what? You could have a few soirees. It's not a big deal. It has no adaptogens. It's natural. It's all of those things. And I think that's what it is. I think there's a stigma, which I think is kind of funny, around people not drinking, which I think is totally odd. because the stigma should be around like, why do you need to get wasted to have a good time? Why do you need to disconnect? I like to be very much in the moment, and I do love that younger people like to be in the moment and be very present. And I think that's, and I like that. I like that it's turning around. I like that Soirée is going to be a part of that.
You know what's funny? You are right. People, when you're out typically and someone's not drinking, they're like, "You're not drinking," and they make it like a way bigger. You are right.
And I've had that over the years too. Like, why aren't you drinking? Like something's wrong with me. And I was just like, nothing's wrong with me. I want to enjoy the moment. I want to be present. I want to remember everything you said to me. I want to enjoy it. I want to just be in the moment. And I think that's what it is. And I think that's really the mantra of Soirée. It's like, I'm soireeing, I'm having a good time. I always say, party like a rock star, wake up like a superstar. You're not waking up with a hangover. You're not, or anything like that.
I always say too, like when I cut out drinking and everything, I lost like an absurd amount of weight, and I felt like more healthy and more awake, and it was just a different type of feeling. And that's why, like, at periods of time, I'll go no sipping on a drink, or any alcohol beverage, 4 months, 5 months. Like, I just won't do it. It's just because, like, I don't mind not doing it, but it's really for the health, like, aspect of it. But when you brought up the when people make it weird when you're not drinking, it like clicks for me, because that really is the truth. Like, that really is, like, and I know we just spoke about it, but I'm like thinking the amount of times when people have came up to me when I wasn't drinking, or whoever, being like, just have one drink, just have one.
I know,
drink.
like it's so interesting to me. Like, people like really like to push the alcohol because I think they feel badly. Like, if you're not having a drink, then what's wrong with them? And it's like, listen, I'm a non-judgy non-drinker. I don't care. Soirée is a great mixer. I always say, like, hey, sip or spike. I could care less. It's just like, but people need the alternative to feel comfortable. And that's what I always say. But it is funny. I've said that for years. And that's why we created Soirée, because listen, I'm on a show. People do drink. People love to have a drink, to feel comfortable, to have the liquid courage. Like I say, I never needed that. I always felt comfortable. I always wanted to feel present. And I was like, I have to create something that tastes good. That's not like a diet soda or a cranberry juice and club soda. I wanted something that felt like an experience, that felt like a mocktail or a cocktail, that tastes good, that I want more than one of. So that's why I created Soirée. That's
so amazing. Well, I always try to end the episode by giving you a reading, if that's okay.
Yes, I want that.
I stare off. That's kind of how I do my.
That's okay.
I do my thing. So if you have any questions along the way, you can obviously stop and ask me whenever you want. So
okay, great.
So your husband's name is Joe, but who's the J.A. name?
Jan, my ex-husband who died.
I'm just gonna tell you, his personality seems very intelligent and straightforward. Not that your current husband is not intelligent at all. He seems like a very smart, intelligent man. Who's the S name? Because he's saying the S name delivered the news to you.
My son's.
Because what he's saying is that your son, when he called, said you need to come like right now. Like, is what he's saying. And what he's saying is too is that, because he keeps using this phrase to me, your previous husband, is one day you're here and the next day you're not. Really what it means is, like, yes, when someone passes away, one day they're here and the next day they're not. But what he's talking about is, if you're doing your normal ritual, like routine, whatever it is, and then the next day your world gets flipped on your head, that's a very different type of, like, one day you're here and the next day you're not here.
It was very sudden. It was unexpected.
He also seemed, because what he keeps basically saying to me is how proud he is of you for all the different business ventures that you're doing. He seems very just smart, intelligent, and especially with business, because he keeps leaning into that. And when he's also leaning into, he keeps talking to me about the apologetic side of things, about he wishes he provided more love in the way that you needed love, is what he keeps showing to me. And he's saying he wishes that he wasn't, there's some people that don't know how to show love, and when they do show love, it's in their own specific way. It may not be what we see on TV. And that's what he keeps leaning into, is that he wishes he provided the love and wasn't so, like, in his old-fashioned type of love where you should just know that they love you versus expressing it in any type of way. Because what he's also saying to me too is that, and he's smiling at this, is that he is so happy of where you are right now with your current husband, husband because of the love that is provided to you, is what he's talking about. Like, just as an aspect as a whole is what he's saying. Because what he's smiling about is like there was this, he's saying a situation that happened, but what he's taught like between the two, like your husband and him, but really he's saying hindsight's 2020. He's looking back, and the love that you needed from showing it, supporting, and not that he didn't do any of that. He's just saying it was very different types of love provided to you. Another thing is that he is very thankful of how you are with his kids, is what he's saying, and with your son, because he keeps talking to me about how that was also an adjustment as a whole, is what he keeps showing to me. And he's also saying this to me too, and which is like, I don't know if he was older, because he keeps smiling, saying that there was a little bit of like an age difference between
years.
But what he's saying to me is that he was pretty healthy leading up to things, like as far as like age appropriate type of things. And he's also showing to me too, it's interesting because he's bringing up your husband about saying that like staying on top of your health is like the smartest thing to do, is what he's doing. He should have stayed on top of his health with other things, because he keeps talking about the constant like impact, whether it was like a heart attack, a stroke, like something very instant and sudden.
Yeah, he had a pulmonary embolism. No, everything you're saying is very, very accurate.
He keeps talking about where you are today and what you've built today with the businesses, with your life, with love and family. And he wishes that he was able to provide that type of, one, balance, and two, what he's saying is he wishes that he made the home more of like a comfort, instead of like you don't know what you're walking into, and not like in a negative, hard way. It's just, will he be like supportive and nice, or really just nice, or, hard and stern? Because he keeps talking to me about being pretty cutthroat when it comes to business, and he keeps talking to me that that he was very successful, and the reason he was successful was you take the emotions away from things, is what he's talking about, and you have to do what you have to do to succeed. And he's saying you are a way more like refined version of him, where you are very good at business, but you're a softer version. You're not as like cutthroat as him. And he's saying like that's how he always was. And I do hope you know this, and I know you're with your husband and everything, but how much he loves you. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And he's just saying that he wishes that he just, made you feel more appreciated and loved throughout the entirety. But he's thankful because he's saying something bad turned to something good. He's saying you guys became very close. Maybe you weren't romantically involved, but you guys seem to have been very close.
Very close.
And he's thankful for that. But he's talking about the time when he was like your partner, not like he keeps calling you like partner to best friend. Yes. That's what he keeps really saying to me. And he's saying like he wishes that he just would have been a little bit different when you guys were partners, not showing you kindness and things like that when you guys became best friends, because he's saying there was a transition between the two. And he just wants not, because he's saying this must have happened like not too long ago, maybe 2 years, less than 2 years, something crazy, just because he's saying that it's still very fresh and new for not just you, but for your, like his immediate family and your immediate family as well too. And he's thanking you because he's saying that you're being very connected. And by connected, I mean like being in their lives still, very much so, like very, very much so. And that's something that he is just really appreciative of, and protecting them. And I know we spoke about, coincidentally actually, about the like you keeping family kind of separate from the show and protecting people. He's saying he's really happy of how you have managed that, because it seems like you have done, like I said, like a fantastic job, but he's just very thrilled about the privacy aspect of things, but also just keeping everyone separated, because he's joking. He's saying there's madness and then there's your family, and he's saying separate the madness from family. And he's saying you're doing like such a good job at that.
No, that's all, by the way, that's all very accurate. Everything you've said about him is very accurate.
Thank you for letting me do this. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative.
What an amazing interview. Wow. Guys, this is the listener reading portion. And if you want to be the next listener reading, all you have to do is follow my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium and send me a DM. It's that easy. All right, let's go right into it. So I will say this, you have someone who's coming through a male, I'm going to say interesting about this person, is the two names that or two initials that he's putting in front of me as if he has two names. Like he keeps showing me an S name. He keeps putting an S in front of me and underlining it, saying, I'm assuming that's his name. Well, for one, he keeps talking to me about how he was a chef or going to be a chef, or food was like working in the food industry was something that either he wanted to do or he was like a part of. The thing that I want to bring up, though, that I think for me is the more important side of things is he keeps talking to me about how he passed and is apologetic for a lot of things, it seems to you. Like, well, I don't know if he overdosed or something, because he keeps putting an excessive amount of something in front of me or something along the lines like that. What he's also doing to me too, for one, his personality is like kind of like wild, if I'm being honest. Like, he's saying like crazy stuff. Like, he's like messing with you, saying like crazy stuff, saying that you will understand what I'm talking about. Like, he's saying the most obscure or showing me obscure stuff. What he's also kind of doing to me too at the same time is he's apologizing to you, because he keeps saying to me that, he feels like he, in some sorts, and he's being very honest about this, he's saying like he feels like he let you down, is what he keeps saying to me, because it seems like, and he's smiling at this, which is the only reason why I'm saying this, it seems like you got your stuff together and you have a great life from this, and that's all you wanted for him, it seems. And he's saying that he tried and tried. What he's also doing, and I don't know if he has like a weird lip thing, because he keeps grabbing his lip, if he had a piercing or his lip was all busted up, but he keeps grabbing his lip and he's smiling about it, saying like, I guess he was like a daredevil type of guy too, who like, if you told him to jump, he would say, how high and where do you want me to jump? Like, trying to do fun stuff. A big portion of what he keeps showing to me, though, is him trying to make things right with you, because he keeps saying that, I don't know if someone else passed away with him or in the same, like maybe a few years apart from each other or something, because he keeps saying like his passing was like very traumatic, like on you and like other people like in his close circle. What he's also saying to me too is, and he's laughing at this, which is why I wanted to ask you this, he keeps talking to me about how you, I guess for a long time, didn't know his real name. It's what he keeps saying to me, because he's saying like everything about him, and he's laughing at this. This is the only reason why I'm saying it, because he finds it very funny, if I'm being honest with you. It's like a mystery for him. Like, everything's like a mystery, and he's like just making a joke about it. I don't know if you guys had a relationship where he would just like bust your chops a lot, if I'm being honest. Well, for one, he keeps joking about like the military stuff. I'm assuming you were in the military and all that. But he's saying that he's saying it wouldn't be him if he didn't mess with you and like everything. And he's saying it would be likewise too. Like, absolutely. Like, it's like a give and take. He's also calling you like one of his like really close friends, like best friend, because he's saying like, again, he keeps saying to me, he's sorry for letting you down, is what he keeps saying. Because he's saying that you tried to help, it seems, in a lot of different capacities. I don't think just one, trying to make him be okay, like with us, like maybe it was drinking, drugs, or whatever it is. But he's saying just in general speaking, because he keeps saying to me that his life from his perspective was like this, like a roller coaster. And he's saying like yours became way more steady and smooth, is what he keeps saying. And he's saying that it was hard for him to become steady and smooth, and all you are trying to do is to make his roller coaster ride end, like to make it go on a smooth straight ride like yours, like not. And he's saying to me though too is that he did have like all these plans, like aside from getting healthy, he's talking about like working, and again, he keeps bringing up and he keeps joking with like a chef hat. It seems like he really did have plans, and he's smiling too, saying he understands why at a certain point in time you had to put your foot down and create a separation. Like, you just had to do it, he's saying, and like you had to speak your mind and your truth. Because what he's saying to me is that he didn't make it as charming as he is and as easygoing as and wild as he is. Not, I wouldn't say easygoing. He respected a lot of what you said and took a lot of it to heart, because he's saying like one of the biggest things that still upsets him is letting you down. So I just wanted to give you that, man. And if you can like share, just so the people know like who I'm talking to and everything, I think people would love to hear.
Yeah, that was surreal. I honestly, on every one of his social media things, I went to culinary school with him. His real name's Sean. I thought I saw on every one of his social media things his name was Bradley. I honestly thought his name was Bradley forever, because his real name is the name of a professional like surfer and snowboarder. So I was like, that's not his real name. That's the fake one. It wasn't. That's his real name. He was my first real person that I let into my life after the military, and he was wild. He was just out of control, and I saw a pain in him that I saw in myself, and that's why we were so close. And I truly love this kid. And he honestly, to this day, I don't know if it was an overdose or if he choked suffocated while he was drinking or doing what he was doing. And I was literally supposed to meet him at a cooking venue that week. And it devastated my group of friends, because I remember the phone call. He had a daughter that was being born like 3 days later, and she'd be 10 now.
Oh my!
And that, like, I've lost a lot of people in my life, but for some reason, losing Sean, don't know how, that devastated me the most.
He seems, because he kept referring to you like as a best friend brother to him. Yeah. Like that's like kind of how he was coming, and how he still is coming through, is really like best friend brother. And he keeps saying, and he's like, he was laughing about, but you pulled him out of a lot of like dark spots like before this incident even like occurred, it seems. And that's what he was trying to say, is that he felt like he truly let you down. I think it still upsets him, like in a sense, because he viewed you as someone who kind of got out of, from what he's showing to me, it's like he's viewing you as someone that had a past, and you pulled out of it and you became steady, right? Like you became like super steady, your life. And he's saying he just couldn't do that. Like he's saying it just wasn't in him to have a steady like life. And he's basically saying that he's okay now. And that's what he keeps like repeating to me. And that, because he's saying to me, aside from the addictiveness things that he was showing, it seems like there was mental illness also on his thing, as far as like depression, bipolar, whatever he had. Because he's saying not only was he battling this battle, he was battling a whole separate thing, is what he keeps saying. So yeah. He wants me to let you know that like he loves you more than anything, and he still views you as like this, he's making a joke, like a superhero, because he's saying you went through some insane things in the military, is what he's showing to me. Like you didn't just have a smooth ride, and he's saying that like, look where you are now. He's saying like you have everything to look forward to, and he just views you as a superhero still. Is what he's saying. I just wanted to give you this, man. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
That's crazy. I can't thank you enough. That's amazing.
Dude, thank you, man. And thank you for trusting me to do this. That's a really big thing, and I know it's not easy, man, so thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be thinking about this for the next month or year. Thank you so much.
No, man, of course. Guys, thank you for joining me this week of Connect with Jonathan Mark. What an episode, and what a time in my life. I'm officially married, and let me tell you guys, it feels completely the same. I mean, I'm just so happy. I'm over the moon. It just feels the same, which is the best part of everything. And at this time too, in the next couple weeks per se, maybe, the New York Times will be releasing an article about my love story, the wedding, everything. It is going to be awesome, and I cannot wait for you guys to actually see that article in real life. So guys, please don't forget to rate, review, and follow the podcast Connect with Jonathan Mark. I'll see you guys next week.